feel the need for Sheev. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Resistance broadcast. As you can tell, I'm a little excited about Top Gun because the new trailer came out last week. And because Star Wars news isn't really hitting us yet, I got my fill via Tom Cruise. So thank you, Tom Cruise, and your witchcraft. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Resistance broadcast. Again, I'm John Hoey. Thank you so much for joining us today. We do have a good show, though, today. We're going to talk about some Sith troopers and whether or not some information came out that we shouldn't have seen yet. Some news about Mando and the future of Mando and some other stuff. And, of course, your questions. So let's bring in James and Lacey. Guys, happy Monday. Hope you had wonderful weekends. It was a heat wave where I am. I don't know about you guys, but how's it going? What's up?
Jumping off that Top Gun thing, I'm going to say this real quick. This is the first time that Tom Cruise looks old.
He does. He definitely does.
He looks old in this movie. And I was like, I just saw Fallout and I was like, man, he's never going to age. And then Top Gun Maverick comes out and I'm like, when did he film this? 30 years from now? He looks old.
They ran it through the Face app.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I wonder if they added makeup to make him look older.
They might have. They absolutely might have. Yeah.
I don't know. Because I would have dyed his hair. His hair's like old. Jet black still.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But guys, did you hear? Cats comes out when Star Wars comes out. So like we all
have to make a decision.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be super tough to decide what to see because...
Episode 9 or feline?
Human cats.
Yeah.
I don't know. Taylor Swift is a cat. Jason Derulo is a cat.
JJ pushes the release date back. He's like, I don't want to compete with cats.
That's the funny thing to me.
Is a cat.
The funniest thing about it is like James Cameron was like, oh, I'm moving Avatar because I'd feel bad for Star Wars. And Cats is like, no, we got this, guys. We're going for it.
Well, you know, Cats is going to do that promotional stuff where they like make a nod to Star Wars or something. And they're like,
do you like weird creatures? See
maybe.
Cats.
In a litter box far, far away.
When does Jumanji come out?
I have no idea.
I think it already came out like 2 years ago or something.
Well, no. Okay. So Welcome to the Jungle came out at the same week as Star Wars and actually did like really, really well. And
Wait a minute.
They were like, I thought they were like, oh, shoot. Well, then we're doing that again.
They're making another Jumanji?
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
With Danny DeVito.
What?
Yeah. And
where have you been?
Danny Glover.
I unplugged from all that. That first one I almost forgot about.
But John loves cats.
Did you didn't see it, did you?
No.
Yeah, it was really good.
No.
It was good.
If you liked it, I would.
It was good.
It was.
I know.
Good.
That's why I'm not going to see it.
I'm saying
John
it's good.
doesn't watch good movies. He thinks it's going to be bad.
I just told you I'm going to see Top Gun Maverick. It's going to be it's going to win an Oscar. Best special effects. I don't know.
Polls.
We'll see. Yes. So we have this thing on the podcast we call polls, and we're going to get into the results of those polls right now. Okay, guys, we are introduced to new troopers and guards in just about every new Star Wars movie, right? Especially of late. Most of which come and go without much of an impact in the particular movie. But is that going to change? Will the Sith troopers have a bigger role in the Rise of Skywalker than past troopers and guards have? We know when they come out, everyone gets excited. The figures come out, the Black Series, the details, the guns, all the blasters, all that stuff. And then what happens? Dead, gone, not much impact. But will it change? So we asked you guys if it will. And not a bad mixture of results here. So 14% of you said, I can't make up my mind just yet. 35% said, yes, these are different. They will make a bigger impact. And 51%, so half of you out there said, no, just another trooper. So I was absolutely surprised by this because I figured the whole Sith thing would push people over the edge a bit more than 35%. Lacey, James, surprised by the results. And where'd you lean on your voting for this one?
I'm not surprised at all because we talked about this last week. And while the name is interesting itself, we all, well, John and I, thought that the trooper itself really wouldn't change the story necessarily as a character, but the name means something. So I'm not surprised that people were like, no, it's just another trooper. What does this mean? I think that I put, no, it's just another trooper. I'm pretty sure that's what I put, be standing by my statement of, yeah, the name's cool and probably plays into a bigger picture, but the trooper itself, it's probably not going to do anything. Although I'd like to see it, like I said, shoot Poe Dameron.
Yeah, well, that's weird. James, well, we'll get back to you in a second. James, what?
Why? Why is that weird?
Why are you hating on Poe Dameron so much?
I'm not, but he got hit by someone in those pictures, so I'd like to be right.
He bumped his arm on a railing.
It's wrapped with his scarf, though.
A rare railing in Star Wars.
He has like a, what are they called? What are they called? Tourniquet?
I don't know if he has a tourniquet. That'd be more serious. But James, which way did you vote on this? You said yes, no, can't make up your mind.
I don't remember.
Neither can I, really.
The thing is like, the only thing I do remember about this poll is not really liking the answers. Like, I was like, I don't agree with any of them. I don't think, yes, these are clearly going to have a bigger role in the movie, but then I don't think that they're just another trooper. So I was like, I guess I can't make up my mind, but I do have my mind made up about them. I don't know.
So leave a comment, and if you have the best comment, you can be featured on the podcast.
It was weird. You know what I will say, though, is it seems like once we get to the Resistance report that it does seem like they're not, I don't know, it doesn't seem like they're as directly related to the Sith as the name might imply. So at this point, I guess if I had to vote, I am going for the no, just another trooper.
Wow.
But I don't know.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's tough with the answers. I try to make them as interesting as I can. They only give you a few options to choose from, so I do my best. Sorry, guys, disappoint. But best comment though went to Daniel Hampton at Danny Ham in 1995.
Hi, Danny Ham.
Good year in 1995. I feel like some good things happened. The movie Independence Day didn't exist yet, so things were a lot better on the movie front back then. So, and Danny said, the impact the different troopers make is selling more toys, and he's absolutely correct, I think.
And I buy all of them.
Yeah. So, are there going to be a couple of red troopers behind you one day? In the future?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Are you going with one, or are you going to like do a duo set?
Depends how much they are.
Okay. Well, now we are going to talk a little bit more about these Sith troopers. So let's hand the baton to Mr. James Bainey to fire up the piping hot, white hot Star Wars news happening in the Resistance report. James, what's up, man?
It's the Resistance.
Red hot, John.
Red hot.
Like Sith troopers.
I'm so used to the
hot.
old.
White hot.
I'm so used to the original troopers.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, we're going to be talking about Sith troopers in this week's Resistance report. Looks like San Diego Comic-Con is going on, and they're doing their whole, I don't know if you knew this or not, but they're doing like a homage to all the different stormtroopers, and they stuck the Sith troopers up there. One of the things in their big displays, they have all the costumes, and they usually have a short description of what each one is about, but actually they put up a description on the Sith troopers. For whatever reason, why did this thing even get made if they were going to pull it like immediately? Like, I don't understand that. But this little thing goes up, and we only seem to have one blurry picture, and people are kind of trying to reread over it. But the people who saw it says basically the interpretation that we have is pretty close to accurate. But we believe it said something along the lines of, in its ultimate push towards galactic conquest, the First Order readies an army of elite soldiers that draw inspiration and power from a dark and ancient legacy. Okay, so John, I don't know. Well, before we even get into you, where I was coming from with the poll was this, to me personally, is it seems to me that they're just troopers that draw inspiration and power. Well, it says and power. Man, this is so confusing now.
Unlimited.
inspiration from when I did read it initially, I will say I read it as they draw inspiration from a dark and ancient legacy. So I kind of thought it was like the Sith were great and we're going to be like the Sith or something like that. Right. But it does say they draw power, and I don't know, man. This whole thing is really starting to get interesting to me because it seems like they're pitching them as the next trooper.
Yeah.
It's like they're like, oh my God, we came, you know how there's a new trooper for every movie? We came up with this one, and this one, it's just red, and also they use force powers. But anyway, we're gonna give them a new blaster. It's gonna look amazing. It's gonna be really cool, and also they're gonna be able to throw people using the force. But that's not important. Look, we really want to force. You know, it's so weird to me, like it.
Oh, one more thing. Yeah. You want to get force choked by a stormtrooper? Here you go.
Yeah. Also, we gave some of them names. There's Bob, there's Sally, there's Ezra. Anyway, you don't need to know this stuff. It's
Ezra. Wait, what?
Yeah. No, it's like, what?
Yeah.
How are you just leafing over the most important bits?
I don't know.
I don't know, John. So where are you at with this now?
Here's my thing. Did they pull it back because it had a mistake on it, or did they pull it back because they were like, oh, we made this up and it was printed and proofed and delivered here, but it shouldn't have been? That doesn't make sense to me. So my first instinct is that there's something that was wrong on the description, and the reason why I say that is because they also screwed up one about the original Stormtroopers, because on the original Stormtroopers plaquette, or whatever you call the sign, it said First Order troopers, and it was for the original Stormtrooper from A New Hope. So someone
Death
really...
Troopers also said they showed up in Last Jedi.
Yes, so someone really screwed this up across the board. And I know they were first talking about this being a pavilion at D23. I didn't know this whole thing was going to be happening at San Diego. So I don't know if this was supposed to be a surprise or, hey, we're doing this first.
It wasn't a surprise.
Okay. Well, I mean, I didn't know that. I just thought it was at D23. They screwed this up big time because whoever's in charge of proofing these, writing these, getting these made up and placed, there was 3 errors right there: the Death Troopers, the original Troopers, and potentially the Sith Troopers. So my first instinct is something's wrong here, and it might be like you're saying, James. They drew their power from ancient, legacy and dark. Maybe that's not right. Maybe it is just supposed to be inspiration. So it's either that, or they gave us this information and we're not supposed to have it. But again, why would they make this, print it out, bring it there, and put it on display if it was 100% not supposed to be there? So something is way off here, and I'm not sure which one it is.
Lacey, I want to ask you, because this is the thing is, okay, so we're considering the possibility that maybe it's that and power. So they don't have powers, but maybe they're just drawing inspiration. But even then, when was the last time that any stormtrooper had a religious aspect to them? They're drawing inspiration from the dark and ancient legacy of the Sith. Like, what group of stormtroopers is that?
I don't know. I didn't take the description that way at all, which, first of all, shout out to Charlie Ashby, who took the time to stare at this like crazy, and it gave me a headache. And then John figured out that it said conquest because he can read blurry words, apparently.
I got one word. Charlie got 90 of them. So, yeah. Good job, buddy.
So, James, that wasn't, by the way, meant to play down what you're saying. I just didn't read it that way. I read it as not necessarily that they're drawing power, like kind of like sucking power off of something or being force sensitive. I took it as power as influence. Like they're getting inspiration and influence, power, standing from an ancient legacy. So I took it as that they work for Palpatine and that they do his bidding and get power and the ability.
But it says the First Order.
Yeah, you think Palpatine has a legion of First Order troopers?
I know, but we don't know who's ultimately behind the First Order. We know that Kylo Ren and Hux work for the First Order. You don't know if there's someone else behind it beyond Kylo Ren.
So you think Snoke was not really the supreme leader?
Well, I'm not saying that that's yes or no. I'm just saying there is a possibility that there could be a further boss that we're unaware of.
Because right now, Kylo Ren right now, as far as we know via
Right.
facts, he is the supreme leader.
I know, John. I
Okay, I'm just
understand
saying.
that. I'm just saying that there could ultimately be someone else pulling strings beyond that we're unaware of.
Bigger Kylo?
No.
I'm just kidding.
Going back to the actual event stuff, as someone that once made these signs for a solo exhibit, I can tell you that the process is that you get descriptions from Lucasfilm, you make said signs in Photoshop, you route them for approval from Lucasfilm, and they okay them. And yet one of my signs had a spelling error on it, and I had to get it reprinted the day of.
What was the spelling error?
What was it? I forget. It was
They
something
spelled
really
Wookiee with
silly.
one E?
No, not like that. Like it was like an actual typo, like 2 letters were switched or something.
Han Solo.
I just remember because I was stressed out. It was Dryden Voss's sign. I forget what the actual typo was, but the reason I was a little
Voss, VOS. That was a highly debated thing, remember?
Oh, yeah.
it is one
Because it was printed on the pop figures incorrectly and some other stuff. So you might have even mentally just typed it like, which one is it? You know, and it was the wrong
or
one.
that might be what they gave to me and it was wrong.
Oh, that's true too.
I don't remember, regardless, but
Yeah.
I remember stressing out because these mannequins are in these big like plexiglass cases, and the way they get put in is you have to slide all the sides in and then they screw them into place so you can't get into the cases. So I couldn't put the back of the case on until I replaced this sign, which I was rushing to print. So Dryden Voss's mannequin was like all open in the back. It was stressful. That being said, I think that this was a mistake and they printed that for D23 and it was in the containers with the ones that they're displaying at San Diego, because what happens is when they do these shows where they ship them from place to place, it's usually the same containers over and over and over again. Why are you smiling like that?
Me?
Yes.
I'm just thinking about this whole situation. It's interesting. Keep going.
So they put the mannequin into these boxes and then they put all the props and the signage in the box with the mannequin. So I could see them printing out multiple signs for maybe multiple tours of these mannequins. And maybe that sign was meant for D23 and not for San Diego, and someone accidentally put it out.
I wonder though, why
Which is a
did
simple
they-
mistake.
It is, but also were the ones at San Diego Comic-Con not supposed to have any signs? Because it's odd that they all had signs except for one, because they're saving that sign for later.
Well, maybe
they
they weren't.
weren't supposed to put out any of the signs, and since they put out the one important like giveaway sign, they were like, well, shoot, pull that one, pull it. But they didn't pull all of them or something. I don't know.
That might be it, because they might be holding on to that description for D23 because obviously it's a Disney property, so they want to have the bigger news for the later show. So I could see them holding on to that until they talk about it in the panel of what these guys do, and then they put out that sign. Because they hold stuff all the
Sith
time at
troopers
D23.
in the behind the scenes stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And they could talk about the process more in that behind the scenes stuff of making them and where they come from and stuff like that. Because the last D23, they announced a bunch of Marvel stuff like at the show and they had it covered, and they do that stuff all the time. So like at AwesomeCon, they had the Porg covered until the show opened because they didn't want anybody to know that the Porg was there.
Yeah, it's like, who cares? Like, it's at Celebration they had
buzz.
They had those 2 speeder-looking things on the Star Wars stage floor covered up, and they uncovered them like, oh, they were speeders, like everyone thought.
I think this is more specific because they do say inspiration and power from an ancient.
I know, but if we found that out now, who cares? Like, I'm so tired of like it's gotta be a secret. Oh my God, we find out
should
that
have
they're.
a discussion about this, John.
Yes, maybe Thursday we'll talk about it. How
John
about
is such a salesman. He's just setting up for the Thursday episode.
You know what, guys? You guys want to? We'll talk about this on Thursday. I like to be more in depth. All right.
I think it was an honest mistake. That's where.
But what about the
boiled
other
down to.
errors? That's my point, though. The Death Trooper things, like James just said, and
That's a typo.
it's not a typo. They're like a typo's like I put an S instead of a R.
So here's what happens: is when you're working events, someone will be like, oh, by the way, did you do those signs? And the PA or the coordinator will be like, what signs? And they're like, the signs for the things. And they're like, well, we're leaving for San Diego tomorrow. And they're like, we need signs. So they throw together some signs. They don't proofread them, or they look at them really quick. They aren't thinking about it. They print the signs. They put them in the container. They bring them with them. They look at them. They don't. Like, there's so much that goes into these events that...
Because 98% of the time, no one ever points this stuff out.
Right.
Except Star Wars fans.
That's not right. That's dumb.
Except Star Wars fans the minute they're on the show floor. Oh, boy. That's just... All right, well... That seems so avoidable to me. And you know how I am with that stuff. Like,
that's because you're like a grammar person. As someone that worked in events, the last thing you're working
Death Troopers in The Last Jedi? Like, what is it? What are they doing?
Here's the other thing. The other option, which happened with me, is that you have a Photoshop file or an Illustrator file where you have multiple layers of multiple things, and they have the wrong layer selected for the print. So, like, they have
except for the fact that there was no trooper in...
Yeah, that's
Rogue
the thing.
One and
no, I'm saying
Jedi.
because at the bottom, listen, the bottom has all the movies listed and the descriptions above, and they're both separate layers. So if you're clicking through the descriptions and the movies are at the bottom and you forget to deselect the movie and select the other movie, that's easily a way to accidentally print the wrong movie.
I'm just shocked that they screwed up 3 of these things. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my gosh, John.
Is that wrong? It's a simple thing, but anyway.
But that's what I'm saying, though. I think that's honestly what it was, is someone was doing an Illustrator file and they had all the movies in one folder and someone was clicking through and they were working quickly and made a mistake.
Well, as per Daisy Ridley was on the tour doing all of the press for her latest movie a couple weeks ago. The person on tour doing all the press this week is Jon Favreau.
That's right.
He's promoting Lion King right now.
J-Favs.
And of course, just like Daisy Ridley, everybody gets him on and they go, how can we fit Star Wars into this thing? Does this guy have any sort of ties to Star Wars? Yes, he does. All right, we're using that.
Yeah.
And they got some Star Wars out of this guy. He's talking about how not only is he currently working on season 2 of The Mandalorian, but he also has started some pre-production on it. This is interesting news, even though we kind of did already know, or we think we already kind of know that this was a kind of greenlit from the very beginning, that he was going to get his 2 seasons. Lacey, are you excited about Jon Favreau working on The Mandalorian season 2?
Yeah, I think that's, first of all, that's really cool. It doesn't surprise me that they're doing 2 seasons because most streaming services will do at least 2. Like Netflix has a rule that they always do 2 seasons of something.
Rule of 2?
Kind of, yeah. So, because they want to give a show a chance, or people watch it later, so they need time to catch up. But I'm super excited. That means that like he believes in his story and that the story is going to end in a place that it needs to continue on. So that's super exciting. And I mean, we're hearing budget things about it. I think this show is going to be unreal. Like one of the best shows you've ever watched. I honestly do. From what we saw at Celebration, it looks so good. And guys, I wasn't on the train before, but I'm definitely on the Mandalorian train.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
John, do you have anything to add to that, or should we talk a little bit about the like special effects that they're doing?
I am surprised because I wasn't sure if this was going to be a situation where Favreau's just like, I'm starting this thing and writing the first season, but then I'm going to hand it over. And because, Favreau can do at this point pretty much anything he wants. Lion King's, probably just made $200 million this past weekend on its way to another huge Favreau success. So he's pretty sought out right now. So I'm a little surprised to hear that he's coming back for season 2. I didn't know that was going to be a thing. I figured the show would. I don't know if he would, but
I feel like it's his baby though.
Yeah, so I am excited to see that he's following through with it, because a lot of series, especially as they go on, you see their writing quality dips because those writers move on to other things. They get more lucrative offers. So it's possible that could happen in the future with The Mandalorian, but I'm glad to see that. But I do want to talk about the visual effects stuff and why they're doing it. I'm very interested about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too into exactly what they're going on with this, but it's crazy. He goes into full detail about how they're kind of creating these sets. And long story short is they're kind of like projecting the backgrounds and then reanimating them later, if I read this correctly, using like not Unreal Engine, but like Epic Game Engine to recreate this stuff. And it's just, he's always seems to be on the cutting edge. He's like the other James Cameron of, different types of special effects and stuff. And they've been keeping a lot of the special effects under wraps. So we've heard a lot about the Void. We don't really quite know what that is. And now he's also talking about projection mapping and how it can film just about anywhere in any scenario. You have the guy coming off of the Jungle Book and the Lion King, and like there's nothing in it that's real. It's all,
right.
It's like, I trust this guy if he wants the Mandalorian to be in the jungle. It doesn't matter if he's filming in his backyard. We're in the jungle. So yeah, I think this stuff is cool. John, did you want to say anything about that? Or Lacey, do you want to talk about the special effects?
I would like to talk how you said that John and James are at the head of technology. And I'm sitting here like, John and James are at the head of technology.
I don't know.
Never mind.
Oh, Jon Favreau, James Cameron.
Yes.
Oh.
You're both named John and James.
I didn't realize that.
I didn't realize that either.
I figured just...
Yeah, I was like, I didn't say John and James were at the...
I'm at the head of not getting jokes. That's what I'm at the head of.
Apparently, that fell real flat.
I'm at the top of the list on that. No, the VFX stuff, I liked what he said. And the chain of events that happen that allow it to be fit a TV production time schedule, but be on the grand scale of movie production. So they have $10 to $50 million per episode is the rumor, but he's saying because of the budget they have, they're allowed to do this like setting up these shots to know how they're going to do it when they actually get to filming, which cuts down a lot of setup time and production time in pre-production, which allows them to do all of these things in a much smaller time scale than a movie that would take a year and a half. They can do this in a couple months, like how these TV series are produced. So this doesn't exist, 10, 15 years ago. And the fact that they're able to do that now really makes you wonder what the future of Star Wars series can be beyond The Mandalorian. Because you start getting, watering at the mouth here, thinking about a Solo 2 or other big things they can do on a short form storytelling basis, and just knocking these things out one after another if it becomes successful. So we may be seeing a lot of big budget Star Wars TV series coming down the line. And those of us who really love going to the movies to seeing these things may not be as worried about those when we start seeing more of these ideas roll out.
What's funny about Jon Favreau is like, I can imagine all his friends he's like, hey man, let me show you something, what I'm working on. And then you're watching this, you're like, oh my God, dude, that looks so, where'd you film this? That's a real line, right? And he's like, nah, dude, all fake. and everyone's like, what? And they lose their minds. Then a little while later, he's like, dude, I want to show you what I'm working on. And he's like, oh my God, what is this? Oh, Mandalorian spacecraft. Oh, what is this? This Razor Quest? Man, these special effects look great. And he's like, all real, baby, like all miniature stuff. Like, it seems so clear that would be a fake thing.
Yeah,
but it's real. They're using real ships
down in the basement. They were filming, right, of ILM.
Yeah, and I loved when they talked
nuts.
about that panel and like the model building that went into that. I loved how it was like an all hands on deck, like old school model guys were like, "Hey man, I heard you're making models. Hey man, can I come into the basement? Like, hey, can I join this?" And they were like doing it in their garage and stuff. Like, I thought that was so funny how they're like, "You got any more models?"
Yeah, you got any more models?
Well, when it comes to The Mandalorian, it comes to the rest of Star Wars television, the future of Star Wars television, we don't really want to cover the story as fact. It's kind of a rumor right now. It's kind of going around that this might be something that's happening, but we all know the different directors that are in The Mandalorian right now, one of which is Rick FAMUYIWA. And he is supposedly in discussions to direct some of the Cassian Andor television series, TV show episodes that are going to be coming out the following year. So as it's put, it seems that Disney is liking the direction of what he's doing and how The Mandalorian is coming along, which is good news for The Mandalorian. And they're bringing this guy in. Lacey, I want to start with you on this one. Are you a fan? Did you see Dope? Are you excited for this person? And what do you think he's bringing to Cassian Andor?
I am probably not the first person you should start with, seeing as I have not seen Dope. But I just like anything. I just like hearing anything about Cassian Andor. The fact that they're moving forward and talking to directors, like, to me, that's exciting that this is actually happening. We're getting another Star Wars series. Like, I love it. Mm-hmm.
John, you haven't seen Dope either?
I haven't. I'm looking at Rick FAMUYIWA, his IMDb page right now. I see his production credits, his director credits, and writing credits. I'm just trying to bring him up right now. He's working on a few things right now. Son of Shaolin, Mando, episodes 1.2 and 1.6. So he's got the second episode of the season, which is very important because usually pilots...
That's interesting. That's the first I've heard the directors have listed.
It's on IMDb. You can't guarantee that, but maybe it's...
I hear they have great Padme quotes on IMDb.
Great Padme quotes on there.
Yeah.
Maybe they have Mandalorian quotes on there right now with Padme. Who knows? But yeah, I've heard of a bunch of his movies. I know when The Wood came out, Brown Sugar, Family Wedding. Sorry, I just knocked my mic. I don't know too much about him, but what you have to believe here is that they saw what he did and liked it enough for Mando that they're like, you're in for Cassian Andor. And again, that's if this is true. Discussing Film has been right about these types of rumors in the past. So I would lean towards maybe this is accurate. But again, it's one of those things where it's like they like familiarity. And if you like working with somebody, and not even just from a professional standpoint, but also a personal standpoint, and like building those relationships, that goes a long way because you get a lot of trust built up there. So this type of thing and this type of rumor seems safe to me and it makes sense. So again, they must have liked the work he did with Mandalorian. And again, I don't put too much stock into, and I'm not trying to be, negative about it or dismissive. But, who directed which episode of which TV show, I don't have that kind of eye a lot of the time where I'm like, that's got to be, I'm watching Breaking Bad, that's got to be a Rian Johnson episode, unless it says directed by Rian Johnson. And I'm like, oh, I liked it because Rian Johnson did it, So yeah, if it looks good, it looks good.
J.J. Abrams directed episodes of The Office.
I know. It's incredible. It is.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which episodes?
The ones with the lens flare.
Unless it's a big joke that I am falling for.
No, I think he did.
Around
I think he really did.
Last week, yeah. To me, I loved Dope. I was actually like really surprised by the film. I heard it was good, so I watched it and I was like, dang, man, this is better than I thought it was going to be. And one thing that was really surprising about Dope is like, how like Stranger Things is kind of like a thing right now where like people are like, oh, it's like this group of kids and like they were all really good and I really liked them together, which is another reason why like the Power Rangers movie had like some fans behind it. They're like, I like this group of kids. Mm-hmm. That was kind of dope. It was a coming of age story. And it had these three kids who were like kind of bullied in high school. They just wanted to be their own thing. And then like they get on this crazy adventure with like, they get caught with drugs and they get involved in some bad stuff. And, they grow up, throughout the movie. And, I don't know, it got me really thinking that since he handled that in a very good way, was this rumor, was this fact that the Mandalorian was going to involve something like the Mandalorian having to like deliver a child or like take in a kid or something along those lines?
That was a rumor.
Was it a rumor?
Yeah.
So, but assuming that's the case, then we have a kid involved in this, and maybe that means that there's a kid or a young person involved in the Cassian Andor stuff as well, which actually, and I know this is kind of a crazy thing, but I was talking earlier at work about, the casting of a young Leia and stuff. And I was like, if they ever were going to do a young Leia, probably the best place to put her in would be around that Rebels era. Oh, wait, they are getting ready to do a live action series around that time. And Cassian Andor is probably going to have a lot to do with Mon Mothma, Bail Organa, and another person who's probably hanging around the rebel bases because she figured it out on her own, and we already know that from a book. So I don't know. All of that is nothing to be said, but that does kind of make me think that if there are children involved, I already have faith in Rick being able to pull that off because I've seen a movie that he did that in, and it was really good. So. Yeah,
and just from a historical standpoint with Star Wars, obviously we're moving forward with this franchise with more content than ever before. It should be, recognized that is it pronounced FAMUYIWA? Is that his last name? Rick FAMUYIWA?
FAMUYIWA is how I always said it.
He's the first African-American male director doing Star Wars. And that's a big deal, especially for a lot of people. Vic Mahoney's did his first female doing second unit for episode 9, but he's breaking that wall down too. So I think that's huge as well, also to be acknowledged.
Nice.
Yep. We are honestly, that's about all the news there was this week. We're wrapped up on the Resistance report, and
give us news, Star Wars. Come on.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it over to John for the Scoundrels rundown.
All right. Here's the deal. I do this. It's very simple every week. Just like Han Solo to Beckett with the coaxium. I'm gonna count you down. 3, 2, now. 3, 2, punch it.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
3, 2, punch it!
Punch it!
See, here we go. On the same
Got
page.
it.
Guys, John Drake. That name must ring bells with everybody. Everybody knows who John Drake is. No, we don't. John Drake was hired by Disney. And he was with PlayStation doing game development and licensing. And well, guess what? Disney has taken him too. And now he is going to be in charge as the VP of game licensing for Disney video games. So the future of Disney video games just got a little brighter because a lot of people are very impressed with this guy's resume. And Disney knows how to pick the talent. So they're bringing him in. So Fallen Order is just the tip of the iceberg, folks. More video games are coming from Star Wars and other Disney products. So get ready for that. Next, Eli Vanto, another Chiss, featured in the newest excerpt from Thrawn Treason. Not a Chiss?
Nope.
Not a Chiss off the old block?
Nope.
Not a little Chiss?
Not even a little Chiss.
Chiss on the cheek? Well, Eli Vanto, either way, has appeared. I thought she was a Chiss. I'm sorry.
John chissed the target.
I just chissed it.
Oh,
sorry.
my goodness.
All right. Yeah, either way, in the newest excerpt for Thrawn Treason. So if you want to check that out, go to StarWarsNewsNet.com. That book's coming out soon, and I won't be buying it. Okay, next, Lucasfilm Pavilion at D23, which we kind of already talked about, the evolution of Stormtroopers. So they used San Diego Comic-Con to be the rough draft and get all the incorrect things out of the way. So hopefully at D23, everything is accurate and lined up the way everybody wants it to look. And maybe we'll get more information about the Sith troopers. Are they another trooper? Are they drawing power? Who knows? We're going to find out soon. Hopefully we find out soon, because we're really pulling at the strings for Star Wars news and information lately. But and I assume you're probably going to see this set up at New York Comic-Con too. They'll probably just bag that thing up and roll it down and ship it across to New York, and then we'll get to be up close and personal when we head there ourselves. So that is it, though. That is the rundown, guys. Until more news gets churning out, these rundowns are going to be quicker than the Kessel Run, for sure, that Han and crew did. So now we're just going to send it over to Lacey, who's going to get to you guys and your questions in Ask the Resistance. So, Chewbacca, I'm not calling you that. Chewie, get us out of here.
All right, guys, it's time for Ask the Resistance. You have Star Wars questions. Hopefully we have some pretty good Star Wars answers.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
Don't say it. Don't do it.
Up first is Cal.
Jeez. Poor every Kyle ever.
First of all, Cal said it was okay that I said it that way. Anyway, Kyle Baker. I don't know what his thing is. His Twitter handle.
Maybe I got it from somewhere else.
Oh, secretive. He said, seems unlikely, parenthesis, due to where it takes place on the timeline, parenthesis, but will the game Jedi Fallen Order in any way plant some small seeds for something we may see in the rise of Skywalker? Like when Battlefront 2's downloadable content story included finding some information on a First Order dreadnought, which appeared at the beginning of The Last Jedi. So, my gut feeling, I'm going to go first, obviously. Ladies first. We know this. So, my gut feeling is yes, because Lucasfilm and the story group usually like weave those little moments and Easter eggs into all of their media. But at the same time, because it takes place so early in the timeline from The Rise of Skywalker, I don't know how that would work. Again, I'm not in the story group, so I do not have those ideas, but I'm going to fall with no. They might do like a call out of like a symbol here or something, but I don't think anything drastic is going to be from The Rise of Skywalker in this game, because they kind of wanted it to be its own story and its own thing. So I don't know why they would distract the amazing story they've probably already written with little bits and pieces for a story that's way down the line. What do you guys think?
Like a compass.
I think J.J. Abrams is probably like, you guys make video games? That's cool.
That doesn't sound like JJ. Do you want to try that again?
Hey guys. You make video games? That's incredible. I make movies though, so you just stay over there and I'll stay over here and it'll be great. Okay? Okay, bye.
All right. Thanks, Cal, for your question. Next is Mandalorian Mark at Mark Mandalorian. And he asks, do you think there will be massive resistance there will be massive resistance armada and or army made up of patchwork of various forces to combat the First Order shown? If so, how many Mandos do you think will help the good guys? Asking for me.
I'm so glad he didn't do asking for a friend. I'm so over that.
Asking for me. Yeah. James, what do you think?
So the question I think basically is, are we going to see a giant armada of resistance fighters which will be made up of random various forces?
Right, like Ready Player One, where they all just join at the big battle at the end. Like different creatures, different groups. And do you think Mandos will be there?
I think that's possible. I think that might even be likely, because when we did our episode 9 pitches way back, that was one of my things, was I was like, they were going to get all these different people together. Mm-hmm. But in an odd way, I don't think Mandos will be involved. It seems like such a good opportunity, but I don't think Mandalorians would involve themselves in that fight. They're the kind of people, the kind of society, in my opinion, maybe you think differently, Mark, but that they would go, I want to watch them fight it out, and then we'll just take over the winner when they're weak. Right, you know? Right. Like, they seem the people like they would just stand out of the whole thing. I can't imagine like this big panning shot where you see like, you know, Gungans and like all these crazy things, and then like there's like Mandalorians in a small group of people. It's like, I don't know, it just feels weird to me. I think if they're gonna do this, it's going to be less like a bunch of different callbacks and more like, we're going to, just like they did kind of in episode 1, like they're going to be like, hey, we're going to go to these people, go to this species, and we're going to say, we need you. And then they will have like an overwhelming army of that one species. And that will be the grassroots, like pitchforks type army. Right.
James, imagine.
But I don't know. I don't know about the Mandalorian thing.
Imagine, it won't happen because they don't want to spoil the character's fate, but imagine the Mandalorian shows up in The Rise of Skywalker. And he's just like, he's 25 years older, but he's in the armor, so it doesn't matter. And it's Pedro Pascal. And,
wow.
I mean, it won't happen, but
I can see them throwing him in a ship off to the side.
Yeah.
So when they pan down the line of ships, you're like, is that what I think it is? Like, I could see that happening, like with the ghost in Rogue One, but I could never see him like nodding on camera or something.
You know what would be really crazy? And I don't know if you guys would like this or not, but like, I think if one of the big surprises in the movie was they were like, we're going to need people to help us fight. And then they're like, I know a place where we could go. And then the next screen is like a planet and it's like broken up and it says down at the bottom, it says Mandalore. And like the army of the Resistance is a giant, massive Mandalorian armor. Like they get the Mandalorians to help them. Could you imagine like all of the Legends fans being like,
a big pocket of fans, animation and Legends would lose their mind without a doubt.
They really would. They really would.
Yeah, but I like that would be so crazy. I would lose my mind in the theater. I'd be like, they just saved fandom, I feel like.
Yeah.
In one foul swoop, but I don't know that that'll happen.
So you don't think any Mandalorians will show up? Not even like a couple?
Oh man, that's hard to say.
Wait,
let's
save
there
that.
Might
Let's
be
save
like
that.
one
Maybe save that for the
Sabine
challenge.
kind of character. I don't know.
We put it in the challenge, maybe.
Maybe.
Thanks,
Mark.
I'll probably change my mind by then. Thanks, Mark.
Up next is Len Brown. And he asks, since Disney is remaking a lot of their old classics, 3 this year so far, will Disney remake the original trilogy either with a recasting or make it an animated film? John, you've seen a lot of animated go to live action. Would they do live action to animated, or would they reboot the original trilogy?
So like most movies that come out today are either remakes, reboots, or sequels. I think we've all confirmed this, scientifically proven. I'm just busting James' chops because before we recorded, we had a discussion of whether or not that's true. But yeah, Star Wars, no, it'll never happen. I know a lot of franchises that does happen to, but Star Wars will never be rebooted or remade. Some people consider TFA a reboot, but I mean, that word is just so overused. So no, Len, I don't think Star Wars, like the original trilogy, will ever be recast and retold. The movies held up, and they still do. They fit perfectly with the sequels and the prequels and everything. It's one of those time capsule sagas that's special and stands out. You can reboot your Terminators. You can even reboot a Back to the Future if you want, for all I care. Star Wars, I don't think that'll ever happen. It's just too special, too much of a legacy for that to ever go down. That's like, I can't imagine them like remaking like The Godfather, even though they probably could. But so no, and then animated, you'll get your Galaxy of Adventures stuff that they're doing now, but I don't think they'll ever do the full, let's just animate it, because I don't think they want to spend the money.
I wish they would.
I mean, it'd be cool, yeah, but I can't see them doing that on a complete, let's just animate the entire A New Hope in this style and use the same audio. I don't know if there's the need for that. So, Len, I'm saying a double no. How about that? But you're my R2 brethren, and I'll never forget that.
Nice. Last but not least is, I don't know how to say this name.
Benoit.
Benoit. You know what's funny? I was going to say that and I thought it was wrong.
Were you going to say Benoit?
No, I was going to say Benoit. See, at Mr. Big Ben. And he asks, better pilot, Han, Poe, or Maverick?
Ooh.
We're all going to answer this one. James, you'll go first. Who's
Han.
the better pilot?
Easy.
Do you have a sentence why?
A sentence why Han is the best?
Yeah.
Because Han is the best.
Sweet.
No. I don't know. Poe. Yeah. Poe is a hot shot, but I don't think he's got the years of skills that Han does. I think the Han Solo comic like really drives in of how good of a pilot he is, because he goes like hours and hours and hours and hours, like just being at your 100% top of the game, and he beats all these other ones and stuff. And like Poe is like really good and he's really talented, but he's like, I don't know, the new up and comer. But he could never, I don't know. Top
what about
Han,
Maverick?
I don't think. He doesn't count. That guy can go upside down. Guy flies one thing. Poe Dameron can fly anything.
Right.
John?
Yeah, I mean, the answer is Han Solo. Maverick's only flown on Earth. Han Solo's flown on several planets and several systems. You know, he's the greatest. Han Solo's the greatest in the history of all galaxies, not even just one far, far away. So if I had to pick one pilot to get me through everything, it'd be Han without a doubt.
I have to agree. Han is the best pilot ever in a galaxy far, far away. And Poe needs to get his head out of his cockpit because he doesn't know what he's doing.
We've done this before, though, but we did the Luke, Han, Poe, or
Hera.
Anakin, and Hera. Yeah. And I was like, I can't decide.
Oh,
Like,
I
there's a
still
couple in
picked
there.
Han.
I don't know, man. Hera's really good, and it's really hard to deny, like, in some cases, like Anakin's ability to pilot things. But I don't know that he's as good as Han. But
I mean, Anakin does
I don't know,
spinning.
that's tricky.
Yeah. Speaking of tricks, I mean, that's a good trick.
Yeah, like his first time in a space thing.
He blew
and
up the
he's
Trade
like-
Federation.
He's like, oh, I got a couple, woo, he's doing flips and stuff,
I'm
which
gonna do a
is
spin
basically
move.
all Maverick can do, right?
Yeah, right. Well, Maverick
Well,
did hit the
guys.
brakes and let people fly right by. So
That is
that's
true.
true.
Benoit.
Who else did that in Star Wars? Somebody did that.
yeah, I think someone did do that.
Luke. Luke slams on the brakes and the scout troopers go flying by.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
And he
yeah.
shoots them from behind.
Yeah.
He does.
Maverick.
Guys, thank you so much for your questions. If you want to be on the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN and tweet us your questions with hashtag #AskTheResistance or just tag us and you could be on the show. All your Star Wars questions. John, back to you.
This is great. This was great. This was great. Our Monday news shows, we try to make them fun for you, especially when news is light like it is now, but we hope you enjoyed our takes on the news that existed this week in Star Wars. Make sure you guys do subscribe to us. If you are new to the Resistance broadcast, you can find us on a lot of platforms. Some I didn't even know we were on. So let's see. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, Podbean, Stitcher, Google Play, others. What, Radio FM or one of those like that. All of a sudden, we're just popping up in these places. So I don't know.
You can tell Alexa to play the Resistance Broadcast podcast, and
Right.
it will play it on, what's it called?
The
I
radio.
forget now.
Radio?
Yeah, it's radio something. They call it radios.
Our goal is to get
Tune
on
up.
AM radio.
Tune
That's
in.
the dream. Tune in?
Tune in. I
Tune
think
in.
that's what it's called.
All right, right on. So yeah, any of those formats, subscribe to us because we have 2 episodes free every week, posting today and Thursdays, Mondays and Thursdays. Make sure you guys head to StarWarsNewsNet.com every day for your latest news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. Once D23 hits, I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of news coming out, so stay up to date by doing that. And if you want to support us, the Resistance Broadcast has a Patreon page. You can head to patreon.com/resistance broadcast. We have 5 tiers starting at $2 a month for page access, all the way up to tier 5 at the general level, where you get a cool mug and a t-shirt and a lot of other perks and good things. So, but either way, we like to be very active. We're very proud of our Patreon page. Lacey posts everything on there for us. And I don't know, guys. I want to briefly go back to you guys. I mean, I am really proud of what we do over on the Patreon page. I know there's a lot of Patreons out there, but we really do put a lot of content out there. And what would you say briefly to people if they want to go check it out?
James.
Please.
Please.
No, I'm just kidding.
Please, sir. Please.
No, I don't know. There's a channel that I always that I pay attention to, and he always just throws into he says, please consider subscribing, like, to his YouTube channel. And that's the only thing I could say. It's like, yeah, I mean, just like just think about it at least. Like, you probably will never miss the $2, but you'll be able to get access to the stuff that we're doing. And it really makes a big difference in what we're doing.
Yeah,
So,
without a doubt. So, yeah, thank you. Lacey?
Absolutely. We have fun videos. John does rumor reviews. James goes through the history of Star Wars. I show you all the stuff that I shouldn't buy and why I'm broke all the time. It's good.
And you could submit topics for us to talk about on the show. A lot of stuff. A lot of cool stuff. But I do want to say a special thank you to our patron generals at the tier 5 level. That is Carmelo, Brian Shalito, Andrew Staley, Len Brown, Neil Lowry, Jeremy Myers, Neil Shaw, David Probus, and Val Trichkoff. We salute you, generals. Thank you guys so much. And the last plug, you guys may have been seeing people post wearing these Make Solo 2 Happen t-shirts. Well, we have that and about 40 other designs over at tpublic.com/user/resistance broadcast. James Bainey, right next to me. Is he over there? Yeah, I think so. He designs most of those. So shout out to him for that. And yeah, check them out. Make Solo 2 Happen and a bunch of other designs over there on our page. You get some cool swag. And there's tank tops. It's summertime, you know? Sleeveless. A little hot
You
out.
would wear a tank top.
Have a good time. Yeah, bro.
Wouldn't wear a tank top.
You guys can find me, whether I'm wearing tank tops or not, over on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and at StarWarsNewsNet.com. And what about you, James, when you're not sticking coasters to your head?
I thought you said you guys, but I thought you said new guys. Like, for all the new guys out there, new guys can find me. Anyway, Twitter and Instagram at Myrotrunks.
Lacey?
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gillerin, where I'll be awaiting the day I can purchase my Cats tickets overseeing Star Wars.
Yeah, me and James are going to see Star Wars. Lacey's going to see Cats, and then she'll do a full exclusive review of Cats on our Patreon page.
I'm kidding. I'm not seeing that garbage movie.
I want to buy 2 tickets to Cats and put them outside of the theater for Rise of Skywalker, just so I can take a photo, post it on Instagram, and say, #decisions were made.
All right, guys. So, yes, enjoy your weeks. And on Thursday, we're going to have a discussion about, is Disney and Lucasfilm being too secretive with Star Wars projects? So we're going to get into that discussion on Thursday. And, of course, bring back some of our other fun topics to talk about. But until then, enjoy your weeks. And we'll see you Thursday morning, right here on the Resistance broadcast. We'll see you around, kids.
Bye.